Good morning.
Morning.
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, let us know if you can hear us before we start talking about deep stuff.
Welcome to Analogue Dialogue, where we talk about everything and anything that analog.
Yes.
Too early. But yeah, I'm Kei.
I'm Emil.
And today we're gonna talk about changes.
Yeah. Specifically, we're going to be talking about changes and like how we process the things that we have and decide what we are going to leave behind or bring with us into the next chapter of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided that we were going to talk about this today because I just moved.
Mm-hmm.
And you are about to move.
Yes.
So kind of talking, I don't know, we were already talking a bit about like the kind of things that we are letting go of or kind of what is important for us to keep. Because I think especially when you're like us and you care a lot about like the objects that you have, or there's like a lot of sentimental value, it's hard to, it's hard to let go of things. And I guess I'll just talk about my situation first. So, like I said, I just moved, and I actually didn't move very far away, pretty much just like the next city over. But I had been living at our last place for about 5 years, and we moved to a new place. We actually haven't even been there a month yet, but we didn't have like a whole lot we needed to move because it was like a short distance, but it was still kind of like a lot of, I think, emotional processing because of like our sentimental attachment to the place that we lived. It was a long time and we really enjoyed our time there. So that part was, I think, also, ingrained in the process of going through our stuff, making sure things are packed away. So I feel like that was more of the challenge for us. We are mostly unpacked, but it's it's always like that, right? Where there's like the last like 3 or 4 boxes that take forever. So yeah, those, and they're my boxes, of course. So yeah, the last 3 or 4 boxes, but other than that, we're pretty settled into our new space.
That was quick. You guys like found your new apartment like unexpectedly, packed everything, and started moving in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a shocking process because we weren't really planning on moving. But at the same time, it's LA, and I feel like anyone who's moved in LA is kind of like, yeah, that's about right. Like, it all happens really quickly, which only makes this process more like, I feel like, anxiety inducing. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about like what you're going through? Because you're still in the process of moving, right?
Yeah, I'm still going through the move. I'm actually moving out of LA, back to shortly for Chicago, but fully moving to Japan. So yeah, this move is a little bit hectic and I'm very anxious at the moment because I'm still packing and deciding what to keep, what to let go of. So it's kind of nice to hear the other side. Like there is going to be the end.
There will be another side. Yeah.
There's a brighter side, but I'm currently going through that like more anxious, tiring process of like looking through all my stuff, looking through like what I have accumulated in the past 2-3 years, and just kind of deciding what to keep or what to bring with me. So it's been hard, but yeah, that is a big news for people who's watching. I am moving away, but I will be helping, assisting Truly Yours consultations and some help desk items remotely, and hopefully to work with you guys remotely.
Yeah. So if you come to our like in store and you miss talking to Kei, you can just email us and Kei will respond.
Like,
I'm sure.
Just say hey.
But going back to your move, like so you were in LA for about a year. But then even before that, you had moved a couple of times, right? So it's not like you had like this deeply rooted life that you're having to like, like kind of open up again. But at the same time, it's like such a big move. You're going to have to be more selective than what, me and AC went through, where like, we did have the privilege of being able to say like, well, if we really can't decide, we'll hold on to it, unpack it and see what we think. But like, I know that that's not an option for you.
Yeah. So like right now, what we're going to have to do is we're currently packing our apartment, and we have a international mover coming to our apartment like at the end of this month. And essentially we'll be shipping a lot of boxes and some furniture like mattress across the sea to Japan directly. So we're kind of having to pack two separate things, like boxes full of things that we want to bring to Japan. And then also we have to pack our suitcases with like clothing that we will be wearing throughout summer and maybe early fall in Chicago, and some stationery. So like I had to like create two separate packing lists and have to kind of go through and sort through all that. So yeah, it was very difficult. Even though we haven't been here for that long, we have accumulated a lot, a lot of stuff like furnitures and clothing and stationaries, obviously. So,
well, I feel like a lot of people who are going to be watching this are going to empathize when we say like, we care about stuff.
Yeah.
So we have stuff that we don't want to let go of.
Yeah. And like, I think even though we've moved a lot in the past 2 years, like we moved 4 times before.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and then this is going to be our 5th time moving. I'm very rooted and I like to be grounded at home. So I don't want to live in a very empty apartment or like have just a minimal stuff. I like to be surround myself with stuff. So it was very hard to balance that. Like, how can I live comfortably without feeling overwhelmed with stuff that I've accumulated? Yeah, but
yeah, because you still, because for y'all it's a long game. It's not like moving as fast as you can.
Yeah,
you have to really consider, I guess, like not just like from here to now, but like that long in between process when you're still like here but no longer in LA and that kind of thing. So,
and then with like all these like small things like relating to the move, like we're moving 2 of our cats, so that's like quarantine, and that's another set of stress and anxiety that I have to worry about. And then my husband, he got the visa, so like there's a time limit that we have to enter Japan before, so that he can get the actual card. So there's gonna be a lot of back and forth going to Japan, to Chicago, yeah, there's a lot happening. So I'm just like, how can I organize myself and not feel overwhelmed, But
well, you mentioned just a little while ago, like, the clothes that you're bringing and then the stationery that you're bringing, like what essentials are going to be with you? Like what things are not going into a box so that you can open it like sometime in the future, like
knows when.
Yeah.
I'm definitely carrying some of my traveler's notebook, not all of them. I'm packing some away. Just pick 2 regulars and 1 passport to bring with me. Otako is laughing behind the camera. And I have 1 A5 journal. Like, I'm bringing a lot with me, and I'm just like, I need to probably minimize the amount of stationery that I'm bringing, but I do use most of them. Maybe I can reduce traveler's notebook, but I do use A5 notebook for my regular journaling, and then like 5-year journal that I jot down daily, and then Noti for my work related stuff. So those like 3 notebooks I will always carry with me, and then the other one is just kind of like for fun.
Mhm.
So probably one regular size traveler's notebook should be enough, but I like to carry multiple for, I mean, if I'm not gonna use it for next couple months, it's better to have more options.
Well, it's true. And I
Yeah.
mean, because it's not like you want to treat this time, like, it's not like you're packing and only packing for, like, I don't know, like a quick trip to Japan or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, even the stuff that you are bringing, like you said, it's going to take a while to like unpack and open up everything and find everything. So it's kind of like, even after you move, it still might be difficult to get to those things that are still packed
Oh,
away.
for sure. Yeah. And, who knows, it might get lost too,
Oh,
let's knock on wood, but, you just never know what's going to happen. So I am definitely keeping some essential, like some fountain pens. A lot of leather goods, I think you should take it with you. So like some of the leather covers I might take with me, but I definitely have a lot more at home that I'm packing away. So yeah, it's hard to pick what to bring. I think it's easier to pick what I want to bring for like quick trip,
Mhm.
because I'll just bring like a notebook and a pen, and that's all I need. But if this is gonna be my life for the next not 6 months or like 4 to 5 months, I think I would like to bring in some stuff that I always use with me,
Mhm.
and then some random ones.
Well, I mean, if you are, I mean, this time in between is also really important, right? Where it's like, it's not like you want to, I don't know, treat this time when you are packing things like as temporary, because it's like you said, that is a longer amount of time, and it is very anxiety inducing. So it's kind of like being able to take care of yourself there. And then, like, for us, definitely, writing and analog and journaling and that kind of thing is part of that, like, self-maintenance, and self-care. So that makes sense to me that you would want to. And even when I was packing my things, and even though I knew that I would be able to access my stuff like a lot quicker than you would, I still had things packed away so that all of my journals like were in one place, and they were like in a bag that was like easily accessible.
Yes.
And I knew where they were, and like when I like went from sleeping to one apartment to the next, that like came with me. Yeah, so I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're having a hard time not, I guess, like knowing what to let go of? Because like you have to get rid of
a lot.
so much, like including
Yeah.
furniture and everything, because you're moving overseas. Yeah, you can't just take everything. So
it happened really a lot quicker furniture wise. Like we sold our dining table to Emil.
Yeah, it was nice.
That was nice.
It's a nice dining table.
That was really nice, because like we really liked that table, but we also didn't want it to bring it with us. It's not really square, and it will just take up a lot of space on our parcel. And then after that, like I think Sergio just sold a lot really quick. Like in the past 2-3 weeks, we sold our TV, dining chairs, bookshelves, like some random bits of like grill. We had a grill that we never used, so we sold those too. It was really nice to just let everything go, and then knowing that we will find something somewhere wherever we end up next. So yeah, we just let go of everything, like a big stuff, and then so that was easier for us, because we kind of knew it's like, oh, we've had this for like past 4 or 5 years, like maybe it is time, or we found certain things here in LA used, like vintage or antiques, and then it was, we loved them, but also I know it's a lot easier to get rid of some antiques and vintage furnitures here in LA, because everybody's looking, everybody's buying.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier process for us in that sense. But for stationaries and anything analog that I love, it is definitely a process. And I've kind of had that, like destashing some things like I love, I don't use. I created new account on Instagram and just like sold everything like super discounted, ship it away. not my problem anymore. Just let it go. And right now too, like as I'm packing away, I am noticing like I'm tossing a lot more. Just paper, recycle all the paper and like small scraps of paper that I kept it for some reason. Maybe I was gonna journal with it, but I'm just like, you know what, recycle away. Yeah, and a lot of receipts and a lot of like tags. I'm like, if I didn't put it in the journal when I had time, it's just gonna sit there and accumulate. So I just let those go too.
Yeah, I mean, because you're thinking about what you want to bring to your next chapter of life, and it's like you don't want to open boxes and open things that are like
past
or just like things that you meant to do but didn't do, like things that are unfinished or like, oh great, now there's another thing on my plate.
And it's been nice because I'm packing away, I'm selecting things that I'm gonna be bringing with me, so I have more like kind of curated selection of stationery that I have that you could just easily open up my journals and start journal away. So I've been journaling a lot more.
Really?
Yeah, even though I'm like busy and anxious and packing away, there's more time for me to just kind of focus on journaling when I needed to kind of sit down and chill out a bit.
You still do TV. There's nothing else to do.
I still have my iPad and computer, but yeah, no TV. So hey, more focus on anything analog, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, like for me, we had to log every single item,
right?
Because it is like importing goods, so you have to document what you're bringing in. So counting, 1, 2, 300 pens. Like I didn't have 100 pens. I actually didn't have 100 pens.
How many did you have?
30.
That's a lot less than I thought. Yeah,
30 pens, and that includes like highlighters and regular ballpoint pen.
That is a lot less than I thought.
Yeah, and then like fountain pens, I have like less than 10. So I don't have a lot. I look like I buy a lot from here, but I reduced stationery box from 4 to 3.
That's good. That's one less box. Yeah.
Proud of myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I came to LA with 4 boxes of stationeries, and now it's like 3. So I'm doing great. I think.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you were looking at your stationery, did you like learn anything about yourself or about like your taste? Because like, I mean, we say all the time like that taste is always changing, what you need is always changing. So like you said you went through and got rid of one box. Like what do you feel like you learned about yourself or your process in doing that?
I definitely graduated from like A6 to A5. Like I have way less A6 notebooks, and then I have a lot more A5 notebooks and covers. I also saw like myself like getting super into stationeries and got into like ring binders. So I had a lot of those. So I let go of a lot of that too. And now I'm like TN or Stellology and sometimes Hobonichi Weeks. Not so much. But I can kind of see like depending on the mood or depending on where I am, I'm definitely changing what I'm using daily. But yeah, like taste wise, I think I've kind of stayed consistent. I know what I like. I just like to write or draw on my like journals or sketchbooks. I don't use a lot of like preps, I guess. So I don't have a lot of washi tapes or stamps that could help decorate the pages. That's a lie. I do have a lot of stamps, but, but those it's very minimal. How about you? Did you learn anything? Let's move on from my stuff. Did you learn anything from this? This past 5 years you've been in. You were at your old apartment for the 5 years, and then you're moving into new place. Is there anything that you decided to just let it go, or did you decide to just bring everything and then figure out once you're at the new place?
I feel like we tended to go through our things pretty, not like all the time, but like we at least destashed or like kind of sorted through our things like a couple of times where we were living at our last place. Mostly because our place was just so small that it was kind of like at a certain point we just wanted to be able to be really efficient with
Yeah.
the space that we did have. So I feel like maybe I had a little bit less of like, you know, this destashing all at once type thing. I did notice that I am less likely to use things that are less convenient. So the things that I have out in front of me are going to be the things that I use the most, and the things that like are not out, I want them to be like easily accessible. Just because I know that even though sometimes like, you know, I'm going to use, for example, like, you know, those clear stamps that are like rubber and you put them on like the little acrylic square. I really like those. I like the idea of them. I like how easier they are to pack away and that you can see when you stamp them down. But I think the process of taking them out, putting them on the clear thing, like it's like too many steps for me that I just will not do it. I'll just kind of be like, oh, I'll just do this instead. So knowing that if I want to use something, if I'm like really going to like commit to something, like knowing that I need to find a place so that I will actually use it is important. And I think that that is carrying over, and it's definitely at the top of my mind because I'm still in the process of like organizing my desk area. So how I'm going to lay that out so that it's really easy for me to go in, and this like applies not just to stationery for me but also to art supplies. If they're all like shoved in somewhere and I can't see them, or they're really really hard to set up, it's probably not going to happen. Like for example, paints. Well, actually acrylic and like gouache and such like are there isn't a whole lot of setup, but things like oils. I mean, also I live in an apartment, so that it doesn't really make much sense. But the entire setup, we just don't have the space to just have it there the entire time. So like I still have some of my like acrylic stuff because acrylic doesn't really go bad, or not acrylic, oils, because they don't really go bad. And I have some things that I really did like using at the time. But I also am aware that I probably will not use those for quite some time. So those things I've gotten rid of most of it already. And then what I still have, I've put away with the intention of like saving it for a different time of my life. So I think just making sure that the things that I am keeping are things that are accessible, so that I will use them.
And for you guys, it's like both of you and AC love stationery, has like collection of things that you both share. Which I always thought was like kind of nice. You know, like you don't have to buy multiple bottles. You can have one and both people can use it. You know, it's like it's such a like, I don't want to say efficient way of like buying or like using stationaries, but I always kind of envied that fact that you can share. Like all I have is, you know, everything is for me. Like Sergio's not gonna use it. So I always like that. It was like kind of nice. You probably don't accumulate as much because, like, if you're interested in buying something, your partner might have the bottle of ink that's similar shade. You know, so like you guys can like kind of talk and figure out what to buy next.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because we even though we do have both like stationery and there are like a lot of overlapping tastes, the things that we like can still be very different. Which is nice because like I'm going to use, for example, like AC has this like really bright purple ink right now, and it's like very very vibrant. And it it's really pretty, but I think that I would not have bought it for myself because I don't think I would use it that often. But I know that they use it, and then because they have it, like they are nice enough to like let me try it out.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be able to try things without needing to fully
Committing.
committing.
Yeah. And I have a hard time using these samples that people give me too. Like it's like I don't write that much, so that it's just like I just accumulate more samples that I can't catch up.
Mhm.
You know, like you can try a little bit, but I don't usually write with my glass pen or anything. So I like to fill it in my fountain pens.
Mhm.
So just like taking so long to go through all the samples that I accumulated in the past like a year. And yeah, it's kind of nice to like not have to worry about getting sample from somebody, but like you get to actually, you know, use from the straight from the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of samples, but
Yeah.
yeah, and it's nice because we'll also share our different
The samples.
our different samples. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there was like a category of your items that were the most difficult, I guess, to process or like, you know, go through or let go of?
I think the ring binders for me,
Really?
even though like I don't use them
Mhm.
a lot, like I did keep all my plotter one. I have the mini one here, but I think plotter one I used it for like ink swatches, and then like A5 I use it for like studying. But for the what is it? What do you call it? Pocket size, like a mini six, like 6 ring, the pocket size ones. I have a lot of really nice ones, or Bible size. I have a really nice bulkier one with a belt. And I bought it for like, you know, market price. And those are hard for me to let it go because I know how much I spent to get them, but I don't use them. So I'm just like, you know what, it's time for me to like find a new home and let it go. But I couldn't find anyone who was interested in those. So I'm packing away. And then maybe I will sell it using Mercari in Japan. But, you know, I think that was like, it was easy for me to, okay, I'm going to let it go. But it was hard for me to find somebody who might be interested in using. That was a hard thing. But I think, yeah, a lot of things I've kept are like notebooks, old journals, old planners. Those are very hard to let it go. And I did keep all my weeks that I've used in the past, but I did finally let it go of like my Hobonichi day free A6 notebook that I've had for like past maybe 3 years.
Like used or unused?
Used.
Okay.
Yeah, here and there I've used. It's filled, and then I looked through them, and it's like, you know what? If I don't need to take it with me. So like I did let go of a lot of old planners or journals that I've had and held it on to for the past 4 moves with me, but I've just let it go. And I'm just starting not fresh because I'm still keeping some things. But I did let go of a lot of old journals, photos. Yeah, just letting it getting everything go.
It's hard when you've, you know, taken your resources to really invest in something that you know thought that you would be using for a long time. Because for me it feels kind of like if I invested and I was like, yes, I'm going to, you know, buy this thing because I'm going to use it for either the rest of my life or for this foreseeable future, and then I end up letting it go, it kind of feels like for me I made a mistake. Like it was either like a waste of money or like, you know, that I shouldn't have gotten it, or that I was being, you know, too frivolous. And I know that that's not the case, but it's hard for me to like let go of that idea.
Yeah.
Rather than just accepting that, you know, at that time that was the right thing for me and it just isn't anymore.
Yeah, and I think one fear that maybe you might also feel is like what if in 5 years in the future I get back into ring binders, or like you know, like you never know. I'm like my mind is constantly changing, and things I like, things I enjoy, sometimes come back. You know, like do the full circle and come back to the origin. So that is definitely my fear sometimes, and there are a few things I'm like haven't decided to let go because of that feeling. But
There'll be a ring binder for you in the future.
I
I guarantee you there'll be something. Yeah.
And then plotter was like a kind of nice balance between like traveler's notebook and like a regular bound notebook, and then also ring binder because it is like thin, like it's so thin and it's like so small and less commitment,
Right.
you know. So I am keeping those, but the big chunky ones I haven't.
So did you end up like for most of, because you said that you got rid of the A6 undated, but do you feel like for most of your journals you end up keeping them or saving them as kind of like?
I like the idea of keeping all the past journals, but I think I don't go through them often. Sketchbooks I do keep. I feel like that's something I kind of can't let it go. And then this is like from my past art teacher saying like you never know what you find on your own sketchbook. There might be small doodle you did like 10 years ago, and then that's like greatest idea, and you create a whole new series of ideas like from that tiny doodle. So I can't let myself go of, like sketchbooks, but for journals, like I think it depends. I do have a Hobonichi 5-year journal, and this is my 4th year writing. So that's when I actually read my past. You know, like you get to kind of you open today's date and you see your last couple entries, and that's when I actually reflect. But I don't have a lot. I don't find myself going through past planners or past journal to just kind of like reflect, I guess. So that was like something I kind of noticed myself in the past 2 years, where I'm like, only time I'm reflecting the past or like what had happened in the past is when I'm writing my 5-year journal. Even if it's like a sentence or two, sometimes it's pictures and it's kind of nice to look back, but I think that was enough for me. And again, this is like different for a lot of people. Some people love to go through every entries and journals, and I think that's great. But for me, I think 5-year journal is enough. So that's something I want to keep around, and I want to continue practicing. Not every day. There are some chunks that I don't write.
Definitely.
And I that's also another thing where it's like you can find your trend too, like your patterns. Like I get so deep into journaling like January through March, and in April, after like my birthday pass until like September, there's like always empty. Too busy living summer in Chicago, wherever I am, and then come back to like September. That's when all the journals and planners are coming out.
Yeah, and you're getting
super deep. So like you can kind of see the trend looking through those 5-year journals. That I'm like, this is funny, and I don't feel stressed not writing anything in those months because I'm like, maybe I'm having fun. And there's like one day in August randomly saying like, we found this in the street or like in the cabinet, and it has a picture. It's like, oh, at least like I remember to write that one one day in the summer. So it was kind of fun. So like I will probably continue practicing and journaling on the 5-year journal, but I think I'll also try and practice letting go of old planners eventually, because I just don't look through them. Yeah. How about you? Do you keep all your journals and planners?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
For the most part, I keep them, and I'm kind of the same as you, where I don't really go through them a whole lot. But there have been times when I've like needed to reference an old planner for like specific dates or something, or like looking for specific information. And then I think there was also times when I did flip through them while I was looking for that information, and I was just kind of like so shocked at how different my journaling style was and how like different it looked. So it was kind of like I don't know. It's like a memory of that time of how I used to journal, of like the kind of person that I used to be and how that helped me at that time. So I think that that's hard for me to let go of, and also not something that I necessarily feel like I want to let go
Yeah,
of.
you don't have to.
Yeah, but I think things like stream of consciousness writing, because I have notebooks that are just filled with that.
Yeah, the Codex one, right? Or
Yeah,
that one,
yeah. A lot of those I let go because I can't. I mean, I wrote it with the purpose of just like
writing it
letting
out.
letting it out, and I don't really read them afterwards. Most of the time they're illegible
Yeah.
anyway. So those I'm kind of like, well, unless I'm like flipping through and I'm like, oh, there's something interesting that I'm finding, I'll just let it go. And then I think there are some notebooks where it's like, if there was just temporary things, like I think notebooks most of the time I want to keep the content in it, but I go through like a lot of like notepads or sticky notes or memo pads, and those ones I just kind of go through because I know that the information that's on there is not really going to be important.
Like a to-do list or
a
list of things that you need to get or do.
So I tend not to keep those, but if I do keep it, then I'll have that and I'll paste it into a journal so that I know that that was important for the time. So I guess for the most part, I keep most of what I use.
I think I would like to keep them, but I just don't find attachment. I don't know. Maybe it will change once, I finish the whole set of notebook with all just my thoughts. Maybe I'll keep them, but if it's just planner that I'm using for like work and my life and just like, I just don't look through them.
So I guess a lot of it's like the context of what the notebook was for, right? Like
I think so.
That helps a lot in deciding what you want to remember.
And then I think I didn't have that separation of like making work notes and then life into separate notebooks. Like right now I'm using Noti for work, and that I will probably recycle at the end. I will not keep them.
Really?
I think so. Because like if it's freelance stuff, it's all, everything's in digital due to like nature of what I do for freelance work. Everything I need to track or everything I need to document is already on the digital screen. So that I can use for my portfolio or whatever. And then BK stuff, I do keep separate notebooks. And those are also a little bit different because a lot of times it's just like note for team, nothing to do with like design stuff. Like I do keep my design related like learning items on my A5 notebooks, and that's something I keep it for my own mind's sake. But anything for work tasks, I do let it go at the end.
It's good to know. Thank you for
sharing
that. I had actually one more question that I wanted to ask you before we kind of move into like our Q&A. So like if you haven't been, feel free to leave some questions. We're going to try to get through as many as we can once we're at like the end of our talk. But something that is in common in terms of like when you're going through things, when you're letting things go, when you're deciding what to keep, is kind of like I said before, what to bring to your next chapter of life. So it's kind of like, I like something I heard once where it's like, you're letting go of something because you are making space for something new. Thinking about your future, what do you feel like you're making space for? Or like, what do you hope you're making space for?
I hope that I will read more books. I did bring all my books that I had it stored in Chicago back to LA so I can ship it to Japan. So I am making more and then I did sell a lot of my books that I've kept here at the book off. So I am making more space for that. Stationery wise, I think I am pretty content with what I have.
Mhm.
I want new things every day. That's like my nature, but I'm like trying not to accumulate more. I want to just use what I have. But I think I'm making more space for like memories and like trips that we might take or people that I might meet.
Mhm.
Less of things, I think. I've accumulated a lot of like nice vintage stuff here in LA and accumulated a lot of friends I met through BK or outside of BK. Um, but I think right now I just want to focus on doing things with my family or my friends and less of like making space for like actual physical things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Since you've already moved and you're starting this whole new life and new apartment, are you excited for what's coming ahead of this new adventure or
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think right now. I didn't think of my own answer to this question, even though
bouncing
I
back to you?
I think
Sorry.
trying to make space for peace, because there was a lot of like chaos and anxiety leading up to us leaving our past location. That was just it just got to a point where it was interfering with my daily life and my ability to do the things that I wanted to do or like kind of think about the aspirations that I've planned for. So being able to have that space where I have peace of mind again so that I can look towards the future where I can like really think about like what do I want to do with my time rather than what do I need to do to survive or to like not be so stressed out all the time. So
I feel you.
yeah. And it's kind of also why we're going through like our unpacking and trying to set up our place like I think as quickly as efficiently as possible because things were so hectic that that's really something that I'm looking forward to and I don't want the excitement of being in a new place to wear out before I'm done setting it up and then I'm just kind of like I'll do it another time because I know I know myself I know that that's what'll happen so making the space come together for that piece is been really important and I really like the way our place is coming out now especially since we loved our last place it's that much more important that this space that we're living in now be really nice otherwise there's going to be that feeling of like regret like did I make that wrong decision
and you don't want to feel that
no and already I don't feel like that was the case but it was one of the reasons why I was so invested in trying to make it like a really lovely and livable space that feels comfortable. Yeah.
Totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know that exact feeling.
Yeah.
Every time I moved, here we go again. I think right now I'm just numb. I'm so anxious and nervous that I'm just numb. Today I'm feeling okay.
You said that you're journaling more right now. Like, what is helping you get through this time when things are chaotic and there's like nothing you can really do about it other than just keep moving forward?
Just writing out what needs to happen, and then knowing some things I don't have control. Some things are like, sensitive to time, or depends on other side, like movers or like the vet or whatever. It's out of my control. So even though there's like a list of things that we gotta get done, there are only few things that we can actually do right now, and just focusing on that has helped. Like writing it down and just keeping it as a list and crossing as the list. You complete the list. Yeah. That has helped a lot. And journaling just day to day. Even mundane stuff I try to document because these small things we all forget. So I think that's something that keeps me going. And writing like our team outing on Thursday was really nice. And, writing that was just like made me smile and print all these pictures. It was really fun. So these small, like not small, these like things that I'm doing daily leading up to the move has been helping.
Mm.
You know, trying to do more and trying to eat out more. We haven't really, we've been cooking at home more. So like trying to eat all these LA.
Well, you still can.
Yeah. So I'm just.
Because that's the thing that you want to do when you're in
Yeah.
LA.
You want to eat.
You want to eat. You want to eat the good stuff here. Yeah.
I've already bought everything I needed, so I just need to eat now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it gives you something to like look forward to, like day to day.
Yeah,
So
something
fun.
new, something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did something really similar in terms of journaling, where I had this like long running list, because normally it's just like a to-do list, right? But then, like you said, there are things where it's like, I can't do that until I move X thing, or I can't do that until this date. So holding it all in your head is just
too
lot.
much. Yeah, too much.
So I was doing the same thing, where like I had a list of like things to do now, and then things where I was kind of like, I ended up actually kind of like dividing it into like weeks, because I knew like the schedule basically of how we were going to move. So if something came to mind, rather than stressing out about something that I can't do, I would like kind of estimate around when I would be able to do those things, and then write it down for that week.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So actually I started out like, I was using the BK dashboard for that, and I started out with just one, and then I had a second one and a second one. So in the end, I actually ended up like stapling them all together into like a book.
So cute.
Yeah. So this is
BK dashboard.
Yeah, I have like a little like
cover.
Yeah, a little glassine sheet in front of it. But you can kind of see
so
like,
organized.
I drew like a little windmill, because our current street is called El Molino, which means windmill.
Oh my gosh, so cute.
So it did help a lot. I still actually kind of reference this, like when I was like putting in curtains and stuff, like I had already taken measurements. This is like my crazy like measurement
That's
sheet.
so fun. That part is also exciting, setting up new place.
Yeah, and like having all these measurements already was really
so
helpful.
Cute.
It's like part of what makes you feel more like you have control.
Yeah,
right? Like
that is, you're under control.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
it seems like it now. But it didn't feel like that at the time.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get to that side of.
Yeah.
So stressed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We have a little bit more time, so let's go ahead and move into questions, the Q&A. Wakako is behind the screen and is going to pick out some of the questions from the comments. Thank you so much for leaving those for us. But
thank you for listening to our chats.
Our ramble.
About the move.
I missed the first part of the live chat. Where in Japan are you moving to, Kei?
So it's not super set.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna be in Kansai regardless. So we'll be in Kyoto, but there's possibility that we might be in Osaka. It really depends. So we're just gonna, we'll probably be in Kyoto area.
Okay.
Yeah, for the first year.
Oh, that seems that much more stressful, because it's like I
don't know where I'm gonna go.
Yeah, you don't even know like what's gonna happen once you are in Japan.
Yeah, so but we just know that we loved Kansai. My husband lived in Kyoto for a little bit in like past maybe like 2 years ago. So we know for few people there already. So it might be easier to move there. So
it's nice having people to go back to.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna be in Kyoto. Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Do we have more questions coming up?
AC. Hi.
Hi, AC. If there's time at the end, tell Emil to talk about what he did with the scrap paper and our lamp.
What did you do?
So we have like one of those like IKEA lamp, and it's just like, the paper lantern type things. And just it's paper. Over time, it's kind of gotten holes in it and stuff. Our dog sometimes likes to throw his toy around, and it would like hit the lamp and then like leave a hole. So we were actually, when we were moving, we're like, it kind of looks a little shabby. We were going to actually replace it. Turns out that specific model has been discontinued. And I didn't really like any of the other paper lantern shades that I could find. So when we were going through, we had a lot of like scrap papers and like really
pretty ones.
Yeah,
too,
pretty
right?
like flecks and like, ones with like little plants in them. So we actually decided to patch it instead. So I chose papers that are somewhat transparent and mostly ones that have some kind of like texture or pattern. So there's like one that has like little flower petals or like little flecks in it. And then I used that to kind of patch the holes in our lamp. And now it has this kind of like patchwork look to it.
Cute.
And it has like layers, and like when you turn it on, you can see like those
the
little
patterns.
pieces.
Oh, I want to see pictures.
Yeah. Well, you can just see it in person. Yeah.
Just come over. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, but it was nice because rather than replacing it, it feels like that much more hours, and it's nicer for us to like look at because I really was prepared to just like toss it and get a new one. But I really like this a lot better, and it feels a lot more
personalized.
Right? Yeah, it does. Especially since like the papers are ones that we've like collected over
that
time.
you like.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Thank you, AC, for reminding me to talk about that. Let's see. Next question is from Petra. Do you find your mood or place you are in life, emotional, spiritual, or situational, affect your relationship with items and artifacts you keep? If yes, how? Okay. Your mood or place in life affect your relationship with items and artifacts you keep. Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a specific example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that when things are like really chaotic, I'm like looking for signs that that's not going to be all there is to it. And especially if I have like, analog artifacts or like things that have like good memories in them, that kind of reminds me, hey, this hard thing that you're going through is not the only thing that is going to happen. Like there's more before and after that. So I feel like those things become even more sentimentally important to me. How about you?
I'm trying to.
It's a deep question. Thank you, Petra.
Yeah, it's
really interesting.
Think this early Sunday morning. I think, I agree with what you said too. I think my mood when I'm in a rampage mode, where I'm like packing, documenting all these things, I sometimes do look at small things and like just want to let it go, just want to toss it. So like it affects like what I'm keeping, I guess. And then, that's why it's kind of nice that we actually have like this 3 weeks of packing time right now, where I'm like packing it, but I'm not closing the box. And then I'm also putting aside things that I'm like not sure if I'm gonna keep. In that moment, when I'm like in the rampage mode, I wanted to toss it. But then when I'm like more calm and like more grounded, I'm like, you know what? These can't come with me. So I just like have that moment to kind of sit through. So that's helped a little bit. But yeah, I think my mood definitely affect what I'm keeping, what I'm decided to let go. So knowing myself, I'm just gonna like, if I decided to let it go, I just put it aside for like a day or two and come back to it when I'm feeling less stressed or less chaotic, I think. Yeah.
Like when you're talking about the things where you feel like, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, where it's like you're just kind of in this like
struggling.
Yeah, you're just like in the jungle of papers and boxes. I feel like I've felt that before, not necessarily with moving, but just kind of like in life stages when I was like, just starting out after college, and I was kind of like putting a lot of effort into putting myself out there as like an artist, as a person, but I wasn't really seeing any of that return right away, which is how life is. But keeping those journals now and like kind of remembering what I was going through back then, and how much work I put in to get to where I am, it makes me appreciate the things that I have that much more, because I know that it's not like, I can just like say it was all just chance, or, it just happened. But like, there's a lot of little things that
Helped you get to that
yeah,
point.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where it was like the efforts of my past is helping me now. And that like kind of helps me appreciate what I have. It also helps me to motivate myself for the future and working towards the things that I can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So deep.
Yeah, thanks, Petra.
Thank you.
I think we're a little more awake now. I think that we have one more question. Andy says, do you have separate journals for like quick daily recap journaling versus more extensive journaling, or is it all in the same one? Oh, I have so many journals.
I have multiple. I'm trying to keep it into one nowadays, I think. Like A5 Stalogy that I have. I've started with like, some days I'm just doing morning. Sometimes I do it in the evening, like just recap. But again, there's 5-year journal.
Right.
And then there's also Traveler's Notebook. So like there's a lot of different ones. And, not every day I have time to do all 3 or 5 or 6 journaling. So I just like pick one that house most of the things, but then if I have time, I just use bits and bits of different journals to keep all these things. How about you?
I really have a lot of compartmentalization based on what the purpose of the journaling is, because I also have like sketchbooks and stuff for like work and art and that kind of thing. And because I have like, sometimes I can have like memory issues, so I need to be able to go back and find those things, but I also need to be able to know where those things are likely to be. So I have things that are just for working. I have, my Hobonichi weeks that I use for like my regular daily to-do list and that kind of thing, and like appointments. I have a journal that's pretty much just for reflection, that I don't really have any intention of like going back to revisit. That's just like for now, for the present. And then I have like ones that are specifically for ideas or like thoughts that I feel like could be good inspiration for future art or that kind of thing. So yeah, I feel like I have to separate it.
Yeah, I kind of envy that you know exactly what you need, because like I feel like I'm still in a figuring out stage what works for me, and it really depends, right? Like who you are, like what type of system, and how you compartmentalize your journal into different notebooks. It's really different from like person to person.
Yeah, and for me it changes a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think that it fluctuates a lot, where like I'll go through these like waves of like where I'm like expanding into more notebooks and then compartmentalizing it into like a smaller selection of them. And I think that changes based on need. I know that when the pandemic first started, I had a completely different system for at the beginning of the year. And then once things, started shutting down and we had to like all quarantine and that kind of thing, like what I needed changed so drastically that it was like my entire system, like I had to kind of start over and come up with something new. So it's like what I use right now, it works for me right now. But I can kind of start to feel when it doesn't anymore. And I have to like rethink like what do I need and what am I using the things that I have for.
Like being okay with letting go of a notebook. That was like me. I like started so strong with like Hobonichi Cousin, and I'm like, I just can't. So I just like put it away. But because there's so much left, I will probably use it as like just like a regular to do that I did for like A6 size that I've had before, where I just like either covered the year or like the day of the week, just keeping the dates as is, and then use it next year or like a different time. I stole that idea from you.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Like cover taping over the dates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that for the future, but I'm just be okay with letting go.
Yeah.
My like system that didn't work.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's hard to not feel guilt.
Yeah.
When like once again you've invested.
So guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you wouldn't. A lot of these kinds of things, it's like you wouldn't have known, right? Like I really like what you said earlier when you said, I know what I like, because I feel like that confidence, like not everyone has that.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of, I think, especially like new customers when we talk to them, they definitely don't know, and it is like
it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay, and it's also like an entire process. So it's like you really would not have known what you would have liked unless you had tried it. So, and knowing what works for you is a little bit more of like knowing yourself. So I think that that's important too. I think that that's all the questions. So yeah, and I think that that's the end of our talk.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we're gonna get ready for our open hours.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Yeah, so I'm sure y'all already saw on Instagram, but we did get the tea and olive in. We do have it for our opening hours, so if you want to come by and pick that up, feel free to. We are open from 12 to 5 today. And yeah, if you come in, like we hope to see you soon, and you can talk to us about what we talked about if you'd like.
The moves.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a really good time and enjoyed our analog dialogue. Until next time, keep writing. Bye.